Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to lecture number 5, The Ground Rules of Metabolism, where we will meet a variety of enzymes, including everybody's favorite alcohol dehydrogenase. So we're going to start with energy. Well, what is energy? It's sort of something we recognize when we see it. Energy is the capacity to do work. There are many different types of energy. A few examples that you may be familiar with are light, electricity, pressure, heat, and motion. These guys are doing the energy of motion. Now, we have two main laws to describe how energy works, and these are the first and second laws of thermodynamics. Now, the first law of thermodynamics talks about when energy changes form. And energy changes form quite a bit. For example, light bulbs change the energy of electricity into the energy of light. Cars change the chemical energy of gasoline into the energy of motion. The first law of thermodynamics states that when energy changes form, the total amount of energy stays the same. So when so energy doesn't just leave, it has to go from one form to another. Now, energy doesn't stay in one spot. Energy will disperse or move away spontaneously until no part of a system holds more than another part. This is why when you can use a space heater to heat a whole room. Yes, it will be hotter near the space heater, but the heat energy from the space heater will spontaneously travel out until all of the room is heated. We measure how much of the energy of a particular system has been dispersed using entropy. Isn't that right, Falcone? Entropy. Okay. So here is an example, a cartoon of sorts showing you entropy. This system is very low entropy. It's very high order. Someone has expended a lot of energy to clean up this room. This is low entropy. The energy that was once used to clean this room has now been dispersed throughout the room. Now, entropy also works in the systems that we're going to be talking about this unit, mainly photosynthesis and respiration. Photosynthesis takes many small molecules and makes them into one big molecule. This reduces the entropy. It increases the order of the system. Having six waters and 6 carbon dioxides floating around is a lot more disorder than having one nice glucose molecule. This is why in photosynthesis you have to add energy into the system, energy from the sun. And this is what works against the entropy, conquers the entropy to help you make this complicated thing. The second law of thermodynamics states that entropy increases spontaneously. So if you see a decrease in entropy, like you see in photosynthesis, some energy change has occurred to make it happen. So in photosynthesis, plants use light energy from the sun to make the reaction happen. Now, energy transfers are often incomplete. For example, if you have a regular light bulb, and I know these are banned in, I think, California now. In a regular light bulb, 5% of the electricity that goes into a regular light bulb is made into light. The other 95% is made into heat. This is why if you were a girl in, well, actually most of the later 20th century, if you ever owned an Easy Bake Oven or had a sibling who did, you will know that you can actually bake small pastries using a light bulb as a heat source. Now, LED lights, which are all the new Christmas lights are LED lights, save energy because they don't heat up. They're as bright as regular lighting, but they heat up 75% less. Since they're more efficient, with their energy transfer, they don't lose as much electricity to heat, and you can use less electricity to power the LEDs and get the same amount of light. So how does entropy apply to us? Our bodies are highly organized systems. Why don't we fall victim to the second law of thermodynamics? Well, it's because we're constantly using energy. We're using energy to grow, move, acquire nutrients, and reproduce. Unless we replace our energy that's lost, we lose our levels of organization. This is why when you die, your body breaks down. It's because it's not receiving any new energy to prevent the breaking down from occurring. So in ecology, and we're going to revisit this back way in the end of the biology series in Biology 103, energy enters into Earth's systems mainly from sunlight. The energy from the sun goes to the producers, the plants and the other self-feeding organisms, which are then eaten by consumers, animals and whatnot, which becomes a circle of life, and so nutrients and energy get cycled between them, and energy, a lot of energy, in fact most of the energy, is lost to the environment as heat. So animals, you can take a food chain and discuss it in terms of energy. So you can take a food chain and discuss it in terms of what are called trophic levels. Animals at a trophic level are the same number of energy transfer steps away from the energy input into the ecosystem from the sun. So all producers, all plants, are one energy level away from the sun. Animals like falconi, who are obligate carnivores, are at least 2 energy steps away from the sun, because falconi would have to eat something that has eaten something else. Sorry, he's the most entertaining thing in the room right now, so he's getting into the lecture a couple times. So as energy is transferred from one trophic level to another, a lot of this energy is lost as heat. So this is why there will always be fewer top predators such as wolves than there are primary consumers such as mice. This is because the environment just can't support them. The energy transfers are too inefficient. This is also why if you eat a couple meals a week vegetarian, you're actually eating at a lower trophic level. The energy, instead of going from the corn to feed the cow to feed you, the energy is going straight from the corn to you. And it helps reduce the pressure on the Earth's ecosystems. So here's a cartoon of this. So here the sunlight produces the plants, and then about 10% of the energy from the plants goes into making the next trophic level, which are the rats. And about 10% of that goes into making the snakes, and 10% of that goes into making the hawks. So you can see there can never be as many plants as there are hawks, because there wouldn't be enough food to sustain them, thanks to these inefficient energy transfers. So energy is really important when you're talking about the chemical reactions in our cells. When molecules interact, chemical bonds form or are broken, and this process takes energy. A reaction is a process by which chemical changes occur, and if you've taken chemistry, you may be familiar with these. For example, photosynthesis is a chemical reaction where carbon dioxide and water are changed into glucose with a byproduct of oxygen. Now, during a reaction, one or more reactants, which are the things that go into the reaction, change into one or more products, the things that remain at a reaction's end. So, for example, here's the reaction to make water. 2 hydrogen plus oxygen equals water. These are our reactants. These are the things that are going into the reaction. And this is our product. This is what's at the end. Oop. Okay, so the energy in this system is actually stored in the chemical bonds themselves. When your body needs to burn energy, it breaks bonds breaks chemical bonds, which increases the entropy of your body and releases energy. Making bonds, so making something complicated, decreases the entropy and requires energy. The amount of energy that's available to a molecule to do work is free energy. It depends on the bonds and the entropy of the situation. Now, if you ever take chemistry, you'll have to calculate this. I'm just making you aware that this exists. There are two types of reactions we're going to talk about, endergonic and exergonic. Endergonic reactions need energy input to occur. So you have to put energy into the system. So these are things that have to get their energy from somewhere. For example, in the enzyme lab, you guys used Benedict's solution. Remember, you had to heat that in order to get the reaction to occur. The reaction wouldn't happen at room temperature. Photosynthesis is another endergonic reaction. It requires light energy from the sun in order for photosynthesis to occur. So this is when you're making many small molecules, like for photosynthesis, so this is a lot of entropy, into a few big molecules. Exergonic reactions give off energy when they occur. Example of these are if you've had a first aid kit, or, well, I guess they're not in first aid kits. If you've ever gone hunting or fishing in colder weather, you get these little heating packs that you just open the package and expose them to air, and they get nice and warm. That's an example of an exergonic reaction. Respiration is another one. Respiration is the process by which your body breaks down things like sugar, like glucose, into fuel. So here is the cartoon of respiration. You've got your glucose and your oxygen, and you break it down into carbon dioxide and water. So you go from one big molecule and a couple small ones to a bunch of small ones.